Welcome back to Royals Weekly. I am your host, Marcus Mead, and joining me as always, he just got traded for Rafael Devers and 2 sticks of juicy fruit. My brother Mike.
Hey, I will friggin' take it. I got traded for Rafael Devers. That's going on the tombstone, baby.
That's right.
Come on
Good
now.
job. Good job. You will be playing first base and refusing to DH. Okay, that's going to be your thing. Okay.
I saw somebody put that out. When I saw the Giants, I'm going, wait a second. I think their third baseman's pretty good, and so. I don't think
he agreed to move to first to start the year, so he's been playing there most of the year. But then they asked him to move to DH, and he was like, "No, sorry, I'm not going to do that.
Sorry,
I will not be doing that. Learn a whole new position, forget it." Or no, maybe they want to do the outfield. I can't remember.
They talked about him in right. I think
that might have been it. Not right field. That
good. Boy, he can hit that fucking baseball though. He went out today.
Really
I think
he really
right before getting traded. I'm pretty sure he had a home run.
On this week's episode, we will review a steaming pile of a week for the Royals. Why are we talking about the rest of baseball? Because the Royals, not real worth talking about right now, but we're going to review that week anyway, and then we're going to discuss trade deadline strategy in our Spotlight segment now that the Royals have had a little bit of a losing streak going. And then we're going to preview this week's games. Hopefully things get a little better for the boys in blue. A reminder to go out and subscribe to the Royals Weekly Substack. We had a lot of stuff. I was very proud of a post that I made. Mike, did you go read that post?
I still haven't had a chance, but it's on the docket for tomorrow.
So I wrote a post to the Substack this week about a different type of aggression I would like to see the Royals have at the plate. So I sort of redefined aggression. And then I gave you some examples based on a Nick Lofton at bat. It's a lot of good video clips and stuff in there. Great thing. Mike puts out a great Mike's Dropped episode every week. We put out a midweek episode. Totally worth it. RoyalsWeekly.substack.com. Go check it out if you're interested.
Got to give a plug for Mike's Drop. This week in the X Factor segment, I said that the X Factor for the Oakland A's would be hitting bombs if they could leave the yard a few times. 2 home runs in every game.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
And they won the series. So I called it. And then I said the Royals would have to rough up the the Athletics pen, and we didn't touch them. So
no, nothing. Nothing going
on. It's all turning up stars for Mikey, except for his baseball team can't win a game.
Yeah. Also, a reminder, go out and rate and review us on any platform that you listen to us on. If you're an Apple Podcast listener, write us a review. Let us know what you think. We'll go ahead and read it on an episode. If you're using some other podcast platform, give us 5 stars. Give us a thumbs up. I don't know what all the different platforms have you do, but do whatever it is that says, these guys are great, because that really helps us out and we appreciate it. All right, let's do it. Review a week that was really awful. Let's start with a big turd burger of awful news from last week. How about Cole Reagans went on the 15-day injured list with a rotator cuff strain. Not great news. Mike, what are your thoughts on losing Cole Reagans being just the cherry on top of what was a really rough week?
Well, we kind of knew something had to happen because of how bad he looked in that first start back off of the groin injury and the rehab start. And like, it was kind of a culmination of things. Like, he just hasn't looked good. Then you're like, okay, well, something's got to change because they're keeping Noah Cameron up here. Are they going to go with a 6-man rotation to offer him more rest? Or is he going to go back onto the IL? And we didn't realize, okay, it's not the groin still. There's a shoulder issue here. Okay. More scary, obviously.
Yeah.
Definitely more scary. Shoulder issues are not good news. And then to hear after that he's also going for a second opinion scares me even more. I'm going to be honest with you. This does not sound like 15 days, guys. This sounds like a couple months at best. Yeah. And that's scary for me because we need Cole Reagans. He's the kind of the backbone of the rotation, especially the long-term outlook of the rotation. And that's not good. And a guy with injury history in the past.
Yeah, it's not. That's the thing. And it's rough in part because the conditions surrounding it are rough. Like his injury history in the past. That worries me even more about this sort of thing. How much he threw last year relative to the years previously. That makes me worry about sort of this injury a lot more, right? 15 days doesn't sound all that bad when they say it, but oftentimes that turns into 60. How long has Alec Marsh been down now? How long has, these people, like 15 days starts and then it's 60, and before you know it, it's like,
especially for pitchers,
he has real shoulder problems, right? Which you definitely don't want. And so hopefully ever that second opinion comes back that it's just a small thing and they give him all the rest he needs and then he comes back and looks like Cole Reagans again because he is a big part of the long-term future of the rotation. You'd hate it if he started having more injury problems. Also earlier in the week, Michael Massey also went on the IL. Mike, another just injury-plagued this group. Michael Massey went down with apparently a left ankle sprain. That's retroactive to like June 8th or something like that. Mike, what are your thoughts on Michael Massey to the IL? Tyler Tolbert was recalled also from Omaha to the Major League team.
I don't think it was an ankle sprain that was keeping this guy from hitting. Let's just throw it out there. Don't
My
think
ankle
it was
makes
his
me
ankle.
swing and miss 30% of the time.
Are you eating ice cream in the middle
I
of this
am.
podcast? Somebody stop this. This is not professional. This guy's over here eating ice cream.
But going 0-6 against the A's and Yankees, losing series to the White Sox and Oakland, that's professional? I don't know. Come on.
First, they're not Oakland anymore, okay? You say
Oh,
Sacramento
right,
and you say it with some damn respect, okay?
Talk about Michael Massey for
so
Lord's
apparently
sake.
Michael Massey can't hit because his ankle hurts, I guess. But no, he definitely needs a reset of some sort. I mean, we know that. So, I mean, oh, your ankle's sore? All right, you got a sprained ankle, go to the IL and try and fix whatever the fuck is wrong with you when it comes to swinging at the baseball. Try just not swinging at the baseball. Maybe they were like, hey, let's put him on the IL and don't put a bat in his hand for 10 days. And maybe he won't swing so much when he gets back in there. I don't know.
That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But no.
You got to do something.
You got to do something. Tyler Tolbert, love the guy, scrappy guy, gives you the ability to steal a base. Boy, did his hit tool come up bad because that at bat to end the game today was enough to make me want to cry.
Hey,
and so,
I see people, it was not great. It wasn't great.
it was terrible. He swung through the most middle fastball I think I've maybe ever seen.
It was going 100.
It was 101, but he had fouled off 100 right the pitch before that.
So what? It's always hard to hit 100, okay?
I get you, but
always.
It's a lot easier when it's right down the middle.
I got to say, this Massey thing makes very little sense to me. Why is he the precious little unicorn that never gets to get demoted? Like that was the move, right? He needed to be demoted. And yet for some reason now he's on the 10-day IL, probably go for some rehab starts and he's right back in Major League Baseball. And it's like, I don't think that's going to do it. I don't think that's the remedy at this point, So I don't understand why he gets treated in that way. And like say Hunter Renfroe didn't, or MJ Melendez didn't, or whatever, but it is what it is. He's on the IL. I like having Tolbert on the team. I think he's valuable, and I hope he gets a chance to steal bases and stuff like that. But it's a weird bit of roster news there. We do have a good bit of roster news, though. Lucas Erceg was returned from the injured list this week. He already has been in a few games, pitched well in today's game. Mike, what are your thoughts on Lucas Erceg coming back into this bullpen?
Really good for the team, but can he hit? No, he cannot. He is not an offensive player. Having a good bullpen, it's true. Having a good bullpen is great. I think, and I've said this a couple times, I think on this show now, I think he should be the one getting the closing, if you will, or getting the highest leverage innings. But it ultimately it's a little frosting on a cake that's made of dog crap. It's like it's a frosting on a cake made of dog crap. Like the offense isn't going to give you enough that Lucas Erceg truly matters coming back to your team.
Yeah, it's much needed for the bullpen because they just didn't look the same without him. Like, I mean, it was not quite as secure, quite as good. But yeah, you're right. It's not going to mean that much until the offense starts scoring more. But it will make the bullpen better because Lucas Erceg is good. So there's that. On the field this week or last week, the Royals gave fans plenty to drink about, I would say. Yeah. Going 0-6 to bring their overall record to a robust 34-38. Mike, last week will look so familiar to anyone who has followed the team for more than a year. How exactly would you describe what took place on the field last week?
Bleak, depressing, like crapping your pants in a rainstorm only to walk into your house and find that your dog is dead and your wife has left you. How does that sound?
It sounds like Shakespeare. I don't know. Did ChatGPT write that for you or something?
Yes,
That's
they're great. No, it was terrible. Like it's the Royals of the early 2000s is what it looked like. Well, not even that,
Yeah.
because I guess the early 2000s didn't have that level of pitching that we are still, somewhat accustomed to. It's just so hard to consistently watch a team lose, and you'll go, hey, you could say before every game, I bet they lose this way. I bet they pitch pretty well and can't score enough runs. You're going to be right every single time. It's the offense every single time. And after we get like this, I don't know if you read Annie Rogers' game. I don't even know it was the game piece. It was the story that she put out about the players only meeting yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
I heard
God.
about it. Yeah.
Oh my, great writing. She does great work. It had good detail. It had quotes from players about the players only meeting. It was a fantastic piece of writing, as she often does. But what did it do? What did that players only meeting do? Like,
I don't know.
Nothing. We lost. We did the exact same thing again.
There
Oh
is
my
a
gosh.
saying about players, about meetings, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows
Oh,
it. I got to tell the audience just in case they don't know it. Mike, what's the saying?
I can't remember. You texted it to me today. Oh, winners win, losers meet.
Okay, that's the saying.
Yeah, that's
Winners win, losers meet. Okay, because what are you doing? It's not something. It's not. People think that when they hear that, oh, that's the panacea. That's going to fix everything. It's a meeting. It's a team meeting. It's a player only meeting. If you're meeting, the ship is sinking, friends. Like, that's bad.
Yeah. Why did we meet? Because we couldn't think of anything else to do. That's what that means. Like, we don't know.
We're out of ideas. It was a brainstorming session. Mike, we tried to find some top performers. I bailed out, but you went ahead and picked one. Who was your top performer this week?
I didn't see what yours was. I typed mine in before you did. I went with Seth Lugo just because it was good to see him after the injury have a solid start. Maybe a little concerning that the strikeouts weren't higher. So 5.2 innings pitched, but just 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 3 walks, a little concerning there too, and to just 2 strikeouts. I went with him because I could not in good faith do anything, use anybody offensively. It's just
no way.
Salvi
No
had
way.
a decent week, no, I couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. And so it's good to see Lugo kind of back on track for multiple reasons, the winning reasons, and maybe some other reasons we'll talk about a little bit later.
Right. My strong performer for this week, I couldn't in good conscience go with any player. And so I went with the fans who attended this garbage. You were my strong performers. I thought about making it the fans who watched, but watching on TV can be pretty low stakes. Those of you who paid and went to the games this week, you are the strong performer of the week because you made it through whatever the hell that was. Mike, plenty of weak performers to choose from. It was like it's like a real grab bag of weak performers. You could get anybody. Who was your weak performer?
I went with old Jack Caglione because I wanted to talk, because we got to talk about Jack Caglione. Yeah. 4 for 22, 0 extra base hits for Jack Caglione. 0 extra base hits. This might be the only week he's done that this year. 1 RBI, 1 walk to 6 strikeouts. I don't think anybody with a good conscience could say, with any sort of a bit of humility, could say, yeah, it was still a good idea for them to bring him up when they did, with 12 games of AAA experience and 45 or 47 at bats, whatever it was. He looks exactly what we thought the kind of worst thing could happen when he came up here would be. He's so aggressive that major league pitchers are taking advantage of him on the edge and outside of the zone, and it's inducing weak contact from one of the most raw power hitters we've ever seen in this Royals franchise.
Yeah, it's been a rough go of it so far. I looked at his weighted runs created plus coming into today because I wrote about it for the Substack, and it was 27, which is Michael Massey territory.
Which is, Melendez before a trade deadline territory.
And then, so it looks bad. His expected numbers are much, much better. I will say that. I looked those up as well.
He's having bad luck. Anybody who's watching the game can see it. But you know what isn't luck dependent? Putting the ball over the fence.
Also, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts,
yeah.
right? Like, you're not dependent on luck. I mean, and, it's just that's a bad ratio for him. My weak performer is a guy who is the best player on the Royals, and we often give him the strong performer category, but he was a roof this last week. But this is Bobby Witt Jr. From last week, by the way. He went 3 for 22 1 double, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. That 1 double was his only extra base hit.
It's
Just
today.
has not looked good at the plate. Yeah, that was from today. Has not looked good at the plate this week, this last week. Again, they're trying to throw him away, and he's swinging away when he shouldn't be, right? Like if it's 0-2, which he's in a lot of 0-2 counts and a lot of behind in the counts, fine, drive it the other way, whatever, swing it a pitch on the outside third. If it's 1-1, why? You're Bobby Witt Jr. You have the power to pull a ball out of the yard. Why are you swinging inside 1-1, 1-0, 2-0, 3-1? Why are you swinging at this stuff? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and he even said it. If you read that Annie Rogers piece, she got a quote from him that said, "This offense, goes the way that I go, and if I'm not doing good enough, then I put a lot of pressure on myself, and it gets worse." And it's like, yeah, this offense goes as you go, both the good and the bad. There, yes, it probably always will, but you got to give him some help too. There's just not enough help in this lineup for this guy.
Not enough. Mike, "We Go As You Go" sounds like a great band name, but I'm gonna have you go give us a theme for this week as well. You chose a theme from one of my favorite movies, so please, what was your theme for a very, very dark week?
Yeah, I went with the classic David Fincher, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he directed
David Fincher film.
Film Fight Club, the late '90s gem, Edward Norton, Brad Pitt, just beautiful.
Which was not commercially
Meatloaf.
or critically successful when it came out, by the way. Did you know that?
Insane. I did not know that.
It's true.
Not critically successful?
No, critics are split on it.
Are you insane? This movie is so good. Okay. Well, it's a line from Brad Pitt's character, Tyler Durden, in Fight Club. It's only after you've lost everything that you're free to do anything. Okay. And that's really going to play heavily into our spotlight segment today. I just made that connection. This team, I guess if there's a silver lining in going 0-6 and really struggling since their record since May 10th is like, it's like, I can't even remember what it is. It's like 10 games under 500. It's not good. And so when you're on that kind of run, it frees you to say, okay, maybe we're not a playoff team this year. What is that? How would you treat the rest of this season if you thought you weren't a playoff contender? What would you do? Okay. Whether you're the Royals and it's just a new revelation, or somebody like the Padres who are like third in their division with a winning record, but they're way behind the people ahead of them. And there's a bunch of good records in the National League. What are you going to do? Like, what's your choice here? And I think, as horrible as 0-6 is in a week, it's a little bit freeing in that sense.
Wow, Mike's finding a silver lining to an 0-6 week. Interesting move.
I always will. You're welcome.
You always will. Positivity. I'm going with a comical one. I mean, this one's at least funny, It's not super dark in that sense, but this is and I didn't go with a movie or TV or music. I went from just like a classic soundbite from the NFL and head coach Jim Mora, who once said, "Playoffs? They're talking about playoffs? Are you kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game." That's my Jim Mora.
It's a great Jim Mora.
I thought
it's a fantastic. So. If there was an impersonations of completely irrelevant people, you would just be killing.
I would be killing it. Royals Weekly is brought to you by All In Physical Therapy, who are happy to announce that they now offer strength and conditioning programs for youth athletes who want to gain an edge on the football field, basketball court, or baseball field.
Or golf. I'm trying to increase my club speed to 7.
He's inspired about that U.S. Open.
That's right.
And of course, All In Physical Therapy still offers the best in recovery from total joint surgeries and sports injuries with offices in Blue Springs, Lee Summit, and Belton. They'll help you take care of your recently replaced hips, knees, shoulders, elbows, you name it.
Maybe I can get a doctor to give me some robot arms. That gets the club speed up to 7 easy,
At
right?
least. Maybe 8. Maybe even 8.
Maybe even 8.
If you're interested in reaching the peak of your athletic performance or getting back to 100% from an injury, check out All In Physical Therapy at allin-pt.com. That's ALLIN-pt.com, or give them a call at 816-427-5600. 5300. That's 816-427-5300. With the Royals' recent skid and the trade deadline just 6 weeks away, many Royals fans are considering what the Royals should do. Should they be buyers? Should they be sellers? Should they be both? There was a time when fans spoke about who the Royals should target to improve their lineup, but now that seems like a more complicated idea, with the Royals being 2.5 games back in the wild card and 11.5 back in the division. Mike, are you hoping the Royals target a major league bat at this point to improve the lineup?
Yes. If there is a long-term team control still, okay, and I'm talking 3 or more years, and that's going to be next to impossible. So yeah, we're probably just selling. Okay, you're not going to be able to trade for major league talent that still has 5 years or 4 years of control. That's a decent hitter.
Definitely not hitters, right?
Not one that's actually going to hit either. Like
they did it with Lucas Ursig, but he's a reliever. I think that's the only context in which that may happen.
Yeah, so I don't see that happening. So I think they're probably not targeting a bat to improve the MLB lineup. I think they're probably going to. I think they probably should anyway be looking to add prospect capital, maybe some major league. That's the thing. Like there might be some guys who end up getting traded for the Royals that are not frontline guys, or that maybe only bring back a guy was a great prospect, a la Cole Reagans, right? But think of that in the hitting version. Brings back a guy who needs a change of scenery, needs some new coaching in his ear, something like that, who maybe was a good big prospect but hasn't hit at the major league level. You might be able to get somebody back like that, but that's for the future. That isn't for this year. And so I think they need to be looking towards next year, the year after that, and improving this lineup in any way that they can in the future.
Yeah, I think trading for a major league bat would be basically a complete waste of prospect capital at this point, given the uncertainty about your playoff chances. I mean, they're not great. It's not that they're completely out of it. It's just that the playoff chances aren't nearly as good as they once were. And we're deeper into the season now. And your number one starter, the health of him is completely uncertain.
And how many more bullets do you have left in the chamber in your organization to bring up and help you?
Right. Just one, probably. And it's not one that's like, like if Jack Caglione had gone off or something like that. Like he's just likely to be a league average hitter at best. Mike, if the team isn't full tilt buying, what should they do?
I would say they should be selling anyone who isn't in the 2 to 4 year picture for this team. And, you'll kind of talk about who some of those guys are, but we've already covered who some of those guys are a little bit. But I think by doing that, I've never been an on the fence guy. Like I want you to have a plan, execute the plan, and then we kind of know the direction here. I'm not talking about necessarily trading for guys who are like in the lower minors, who are like maybe they were first round picks in the lower minors or anything like that. I'd be looking for more AAA to AA return. But I mean, I would even take a flyer on a guy if I felt like, okay, he's ready for a call up to AA, something like that. I'd be okay with that. So that's really what I'm looking for. I'm in the buying, and then they should be looking for any sort of like hitting talent that they can get in the upper minors or close to upper minors.
Yeah, I think you have to, I think you have to think with your brain and not your heart if you're a fan on this one, right? You got to understand that like the team is still early in its rebuild. It's still, where it's at in terms of making the playoffs and everything, and how many guys who have value on the trade market who will not be here after this year, right? And that's Michael Lorenzen. That's most likely Seth Lugo, right? India, he would be here for another year. He would be here next year, but not after that. And so in my mind, you got to move India. And that's not just because he has an extra year of control or anything like that, or only 1 year after this year. That's also because they have his exact replacement in Nick Lofton. Nick Lofton is exactly like Jonathan India, except he's better, more defensive versatility, is better defensively, and is way cheaper, way younger, and that sort of thing. Runs better, all that stuff. Other than that, they're the same. But anyway, at the very least, you have 2 or 3 players who you really got to think about being like, we have to sell these guys no matter what. These guys get sold. And then you move on to questionable guys like who maybe you like having long-term, but their value is just a little too high to move them right now, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and one guy that I kind of throw in there that you didn't have or talk about, you mentioned Lorenzen, you mentioned Lugo, I'll mention Bubic, Lynch, Estevez. I know we've got him for 2 years,
Yeah.
but he's
Oh yeah.
definitely a guy that could be very valuable, and he's a bullpen guy. You know, there's volatility, all that sort of stuff. He's definitely a guy I would also be looking to move. Definitely before Ursig, because there's 3 more years, I think, of Ursig after this year. So that's at least 2. And so he's, yeah, that's where I would go.
A lot of those guys are short-term assets, like Lugo probably is, like Lorenzen definitely is. Mike, if the Royals are looking primarily to sell short-term assets, what do you hope they're looking to get in return, generally speaking?
Simple. It's just like hitting talent at all levels of the organization. If that's even like high A or A, I'm okay with it, unless you're trading away one of your kind of best trade chips. Then that would bother me a little bit. But I'm focusing more on the outfield. But I'll take any hitting talent anywhere I can get it. I can move a shortstop or a third baseman to a corner outfield usually, and not have a big problem with that. I may give a little bit of special attention to center field, just because the center field depth in this organization is not good. And even though I like, what's his face?
Carson Rocafort?
Thank you, Carson Rocafort. He has not paid me back for my loyalty to him in performance. And so I just don't know that they have really a lot of good options there in center field. So I might give a little look to center field, because I also think, because it's a premium defensive position, it's tougher to find guys that can fit into that particular role.
Yeah, I think obviously it would be great to get that outfield hitting talent or hitting talent, but given the fact that they're going to lose Lugo after this year probably, and given that Reagan's health is up in the air, I'm actually willing to think about pitching talent as well, because I know that that's like the better aspect of their development, and I know that they have a couple of people in the pipeline, but pitching is so volatile, and pitching is so, you need so many of them, you need so much starting pitching, that I'd be open to taking some of that in return too. Mike, real quick, I know it's impossible to know who they would partner with or any of that sort of thing, but can you give me one team that they could partner with as sellers and who they could pick up in return from that team?
Yeah, this was tough. And if anybody thinks they can play Major League Baseball GM, I challenge you to go out and do some of this and really think about even the most basic facets of this that I consider when I do this, because this question alone took half of the time for me to fill out the outline today. It was like, okay, this works out well. I like these players that this organization has, but do they really need what we have in return, which is basically pitching to give? No, they don't. Okay, well, what about this team? Yeah, they've got a lot of good talent, but it's all pitching talent. I don't know that we're really looking for lower minors pitching talent right now. And so it was tough. This was a very tough question. The first thing I'm going to talk, or the team that I kind of narrowed in on, was the Philadelphia Phillies. They're in really good position in the National League right now. They're going to make a run. They are a team that is not in desperate need of anything, so I think that maybe hurts a little bit, but they definitely could use several different things, especially in the starting rotation. I think they need at least one more starter. They could be an option for an add-on bullpen guy or a utility guy perhaps as well. But I would go Seth Lugo or Chris Bubic, depending on if you're wanting to move Bubic. The thing about Bubic too is the other team has to have a long-term plan for him too. Do they want to trade for him so that they can extend him, or are they looking at him as a 1.5 year guy? That's something that plays in there too. But basically, one of our biggest chips for outfielder Justin Crawford would be the number one guy I go to. And some people are going to look at me kind of crazy because Crawford is not as high of a prospect as the next guy I'm going to talk about, but he's a 21-year-old outfielder who was a first round pick in 2022, the son of Carl Crawford, longtime major leaguer, good player in his own right. He was this really tools up high school guy that I didn't particularly like coming out, because I did question the hit tool a little bit. Not necessarily the hit tool, but I questioned if the power would ever be there enough to maximize the hit tool so that he could be the kind of guy who was
you're selling him real good there.
So you could be like high batting average kind of guy. Well, he came in and he's kind of proven me wrong. Like I definitely was not right about Justin Crawford. Liked him as an athlete, like everybody did, but he has consistently improved every year he's been in professional baseball. He now has his hit tool is good, and because the power is improving, he's turning it into batting average. And so they've seen consistently higher exit velocities from him to really maximize the hit tool. He's also got really good on base ability. And although he plays a little bit of a rough center field, I would say, not polished as far as what would you call it,
Route
routes to the
running.
ball and stuff like that. Um, he's getting better and better at that too. And because he's such a great athlete, great stolen base numbers too on him. Besides, because he's such a good athlete, there's a lot of projection for him there in center. And so looks like he might be a leadoff hitter, a great leadoff hitter, and great center fielder, which this system definitely needs, which gives him a little bit of a bump over this next guy in there in the Phillies system, Aiden Miller, the 21-year-old shortstop, first round pick in 2023. He's out of high school. Good approach and good power. He likely will not stay at shortstop, although that's all he's played in the Phillies organization. A lot of people project him as a third baseman as his body gets bigger and bigger because he's a pretty tall guy to be playing short and pretty stocky as well. But yeah, I like just the patience in the approach and the power potential from an Aiden Miller. You hope the swing and miss doesn't get too much as he goes up through the minors. But those are two guys. And the reason I like the Phillies is because they have a lot of hitters in their top 10. A lot of them are outfielders too, to trade from. And so I think that's a good team to maybe match up for or match up with.
Yeah, I chose the Dodgers as my team, another National League team, another World Series contender probably this year. Um, and I think Seth Lugo to the Dodgers makes sense because the Dodgers have so many pitching injuries. They're just really, really hurt. And so they could be in the market for a guy who can not only go out and give them innings, but give them quality innings as they're going to be in a race for the NL West, right? Like that's Lugo. Lugo's capable of that. They've seen a ton of him in the NL West, uh, and so I think trading for Lugo makes sense to the Dodgers as well. You have a thought on that?
Lugo also has experience relieving. So if they
Mm-hmm.
don't need him for the postseason run, you can transition him into the bullpen, no problem. And for the whatever last month you have him or whatever.
Yeah, and so in the Dodgers organization, there are a couple outfielders I sort of thought might be useful for the Royals or useful to get back. These are the centerpieces of trades, really. Mike Sirota, who's a 21-year-old outfielder. He just destroyed low A and high A so far this year. I think he was just drafted last year. Mike, do you remember talking about Mike Sirota in our draft coverage last year?
Is
I'm
he
pretty
from
sure we did.
Northwestern?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I can't
I
remember.
can't remember. I want to say
Um,
he's 2 years ago, but I could be. That's not right if he went to Northwestern.
real good approach to the plate, good power potential. He's got what it takes to be a hitter in this league, and I think I'd like to see the Royals have him. He would immediately be their number one position player prospect. I think. Another outfielder in that system that I really like, Eduardo Quintero, 19-year-old outfielder who absolutely destroying low A right now. He's actually ready for a promotion. He's got like 250 at bats in low A, and he has absolutely laid waste to it. And so, guy who's got good athleticism, can stick in center, runs good routes. So you're talking about a center fielder who actually has some hitting potential as well. And so I would love to see the Royals target those two when in some sort of partnership with the Dodgers. Royals Weekly is brought to you by Eric Oxer of West USA Realty. Do you have the same fantasy we do, retiring to a land of eternal summer? If so, you need to call Eric Oxer of West USA Realty pronto. He can help you transition to a lovely home in the Phoenix area and a life of fun in the sun.
I'm talking coconut drinks with little umbrellas in them.
Little piece of fruit stuck to him. Sounds
Mm.
delicious. Eric was one of the top real estate agents in the Phoenix area to end 2024 because he gives all of his clients a personal experience focused entirely on their needs. With Eric Oxer of West USA Realty, it's not about him, it's about you. He's there to listen to you, work for you, and guide you through the ins and outs of buying and selling in the Phoenix area.
If you're spending hundreds of thousands on a house, you might want to know that you didn't accidentally buy one without any toilets.
Yeah, you'll need theux toilets.
For sure.
Find Eric Oxer of West USA Realty online at ericoxer.com. That's ERICKAUXIER.com. Or just give him a call or shoot him a text at 480-383-9745. That's 480-383-9745. If you're at all interested in what a life in the Phoenix area might hold, Let him make the experience all about you. Maybe getting away from home will help the Royals shake the funk they're in, because it's rough right now. After an off day Monday, they'll hit the road for a 3-game series in Arlington against the Texas Rangers before crossing the Rockies for a 3-gamer against the San Diego Padres. Mike, give us some hope for how things might go down in the Lone Star State.
How in the hell am I supposed to do that?
I don't know.
I think
You're
they
so
snuffed
optimistic.
out the last hope that I had. Texas Rangers are 36-36, though. We know a lot about them. Front office pretty much grown here in KC, and we share a spring training facility with them. So they're 36-36, like I said, third in the AL West, a tough AL West. That first game will have Seth Lugo versus Jack Leiter, 25-year-old righty out of Vandy. 3.88 ERA, a 1.24 whip, seems to have gotten a little bit of control over that powerful arsenal. Four-seam fastball at 97-98, slider, sinker, changeup, and curveball. He's got a good four-seam fastball. Everything else is kind of mid. He may be getting a little bit lucky as his expected ERA is 4.83. Has had some control issues in the past. But definitely a flamethrower and a power arsenal for Jack Leiter.
Yeah, and Leiter's also it's not just velocity on that fastball for Leiter. He's got great induced vertical break on that thing, and he'll just use that as a strikeout weapon all day.
Yeah, so similar, little Joe Ryan-y. Yeah,
except imagine if Joe Ryan threw like 4 miles an hour.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. That second game will be Chris Bubich versus we don't know. They don't have any probable starters yet for the Texas Rangers. In the third game, it'll be Waka against we don't know as well because, again, nobody announced for the Texas Rangers.
We won't know as well as the cousin of we don't know.
Yeah.
To be clear.
They just had a starter go down, too. The Rangers did today.
Oh.
I think they put him on the IL. They brought Kumar Rocker back up. I don't know if he's going to relieve or if he's going to start, but just a heads up there.
Okay, after that, they're going to fly their way to San Diego, beautiful San Diego, 39-31. They're 39-31. That's third in the NL West. Their offense is very mid, 97 weighted runs created plus. That's 19th in Major League Baseball. But they are getting good years from Manny Machado with a 151 weighted runs created plus. Jackson Merrill, he just went on the IL for a concussion, so he won't play in this game. But they're getting a good year out of him. Just saw that news right before we got on here. And then he's having a good year, though, with a 132 weighted runs created plus. Fernando Tatis also having a good year with a 130. On the pitching side, they're much better than that, and that's why they're doing pretty well. They have a team 3.56 ERA. That's 8th in Major League Baseball. Michael King is having a great year at 2.59. Really killing it out there in San Diego for Michael King this year. But then Nick Pivetta also having a good year. Randy Vasquez having a good year, both about 3.5 with their ERAs. So solid pitching staff. Hopefully the Royals offense figures some stuff out by then, but who knows? That's all we have for you this week. Oh, no, sorry. Forgot a segment. I almost jumped into the end. Hold on. Pause again, and I'll cut this whole part out. We'll end this week's episode like we end every episode with the Just A Bit Outside segment where we talk about something that's interesting to us outside the world of baseball. Mike, you took the 2-foot putt once again, my friend. Tell us about what your last week's been about.
Somebody had to. You weren't going to say anything, you heartless bastard. Okay, I'm giving a shout out to the dads like me, just struggling to raise the tykes.
I meant to text you and Bob and BJ Happy Father's Day, but I forgot.
That's okay. Your brothers all have children, and you just don't even say anything about it. No big deal. But yeah, happy Father's Day to all the dads, all the dad figures. Our wonderful mother. I always give you a shout out on Father's Day. Mark and I were raised by a single mom. She was our mother and our father. She did a great job as both. And yeah, shout out to all the dads and stand-in dads out there. Hope you had a great day. I think I put out there on old threads. I said, enjoy your jorts, your whiskey, and your golf. it never gets any better than this. So yeah, hopefully you got some good stuff in there today.
That is somehow both hopeful and bleak.
Well, I'm just hoping you enjoyed time with your children.
Yes, your family.
I got to do some family stuff today. My wife ensures that we do that. Most of the time, I just say I want to be left the hell alone for major holidays and events that involve me. But Father's Day, I always say, yeah, let's do something for or with everybody. Because I like my alone time, and I have a wife and a little son, so I don't get a lot of it. But on Father's Day, I'm always psyched about our family activity together. Today we put together patio furniture.
Father's Day is for family.
It's for family. It's for family. All right. All right. For family.
All right. Let's talk about somebody who, I wish was my family. I wish he was my grandfather.
Maybe he is our dad.
Maybe. Hey, David Attenborough. That's my just about outside this week. You ever spent any time around Kansas City in the 90s?
Would you like to be our adopted father, David Attenborough? What are you, 900 years old? Is he still alive?
I don't know. Honestly, I put him down there because lately I've been watching a bunch of David Attenborough films, documentaries on Netflix. If you don't know, David Attenborough is a documentarian who is very famous for doing the voiceovers and producing.
He's pretty much famous for his voice.
Yeah, his voice is very famous, right? But he's produced just many documentary films on nature of various sorts, and he's so amazing that he's actually innovated camera technology that allows you to go out and film nature in different ways and get different shots and things like that. So he's not only advanced the field of nature documentaries with just being a great producer of them and a narrator, but he's actually innovated in the technology that makes them. And if I've just been using them lately and watching them almost nightly because they are very relaxing to watch, and you do learn stuff that's cool, but they're also just gorgeous. I mean, beautifully shot. The aesthetics of getting to see all this nature footage is amazing. So if you get a chance, go out, check out some David Attenborough. If you don't know who he is, definitely go check him out. But just a reminder that if you do know who he is, he's awesome. Watch his films. They're amazing.
David Attenborough, nature's dad. Okay.
He is nature's
He's
dad.
Mother Earth's partner. All right.
Yes.
So that's just how it is.
That's true. That's true.
Happy Father's Day, David Attenborough.
Yes. That is all we have for this week's Royals Weekly. Please tune in again next week when we very much hope we have some more cheerful stuff to talk about besides David Attenborough. And then hopefully we can, celebrate instead of drink. Until then, be good to each other.
And go Royals.